So we know that patriarchy is not natural, but how did it get here? How was it installed into our society? The shift from goddess centered matriarchal societies to the patriarchal world we inherited and live in now didn't happen organically. It didn't happen because men were naturally dominant or because women were naturally submissive. It happened because of invasion, repeated, sustained, violent invasion over thousands of years. Let me tell you about the northern invaders. Around 2300 BC, and in waves going back even further, possibly to 4000 BC, groups of nomadic peoples from what we would today call Russia and the Caucasus region and northern European forest and coastal zones began migrating south and west. These are the people scholars refer to as Indo-Europeans, Indo-Iranians, Indo-Aryans, or just Aryans. They were known in the archaeological record as the battle axe cultures, and the scholars who studied them agree on one thing, even if they disagree on everything else, that these cultures were dominantly pastoral, patriarchal, warlike, and expansive. They weren't temple builders, they weren't creators of urban centers. They were nomadic hunters and shepherds who were just beginning to practice agriculture. What they were good at was conquest, and one of the most significant weapons they had was the horse-drawn war chariot, a technology that really revolutionized warfare and gave them a power advantage over the settled, peaceful, goddess-worshipping civilizations they encountered. Now, here's the most important part. These invaders didn't just bring weapons, they brought a worldview, and that worldview had two pillars. Number one, that men are superior to women, and number two, light-skinned people are superior to dark-skinned people. Scholars who have studied this note that their sense of superiority seems to have been rooted primarily on their ability to conquer, not in any cultural development, because the people they were invading were more culturally developed. The goddess-worshipping societies of the Near East and the Middle East had thriving urban centers and art and spiritual traditions and written records. The northern invaders had axes and horses. But conquest doesn't require a culture, it just requires force. They swept into Anatolia, modern day Turkey, into Mesopotamia, modern day Iraq, into Canaan, modern day Palestine, into the Iranian plateau, into the Indus Valley, into old Europe. Everywhere they went, the same pattern: aggressive warriors accompanied by a priestly caste of high standing who initially invaded, conquered, and then ruled the indigenous population. And with that ruling came a theological takeover. The goddess was dethroned, the male deity rose. The mythological record from every one of these regions shows the same story: light conquering dark, male conquering female, the sky god overthrowing the earth mother. As scholar Sheila Collins writes, theology is ultimately political. And this wasn't a fast process. These invasions happened in waves over 1 to 3,000 years. The goddess didn't disappear overnight. Matriarchal culture didn't collapse in a single generation. It was slow, sustained erasure, layer by layer, region by region, myth by myth. But it was deliberate, and it was done by force. And so when we talk about patriarchy, when we ask, where did this come from? Why did it exist? Why does it feel so embedded? This is part of the answer. It was installed by a specific group of people with a specific worldview, using specific tools of violence and theological replacement. And that is the truth of the violent origin story of the world that we are still living in. There is nothing natural about it.